Sure.
And aloha, and welcome to today's episode of Mystimon Saga, The Hidden Archives. Today is the second part of Stone Contention, brought to you by Bifrost. I want to hand it off to you now.
Thank you very much. So, just to do a quick recap of the last session.
Thank you.
No problem. So, last session, you were hired by a proxy to come and look into the mysterious disappearance of of Lady Inari's mother. Actually, let me get the full name just so we have all the correct names and everything.
He doesn't have the full names in front of him? Oh my gods.
Trying to make sure I'm doing everything good. Yes, Lady Miyuki Inari, or rather Miyuki Inari, who is using an honorific, not necessarily desiring it, leads a community in Oizumi, which is it's a small community off of one of the major islands in the Quatrica Islands, and she hired you through a proxy to come to the small islet that she lives on, to come to Oizumi, to investigate the disappearance of her mother. You have arrived, and the community itself seems to be a community that has eschewed more modern technology and magic in favor of trying to live in an older style and an older way of life. And through recent investigations, looking through Miyuki's mother's room, you came upon a journal which suggested that her mother was, in fact, unhappy, thinking that there were technologies and things that could be done that might make the village more successful and help it to grow in ways that it hasn't been growing. So that may be a part of the reason why she and her mother, Miyuki's grandmother, may have been having some disagreements. And you are scheduled at this point to have a dinner with Miyuki, and then after her grandmother has eaten, you should have the opportunity to have a conversation with the grandmother. There are some odd elements that you've run across that make it appear that there's maybe a little more going on. And I'll throw this out actually to both the players of Tira and Felix to add any other things you specifically are investigating. And then although one of our players, Dream, is not here currently, I'll also bring up a couple of the things that Dream found in his character's investigations as well. So Felix and Tira, do you have anything?
Dream's character.
Yeah. So Felix, Tira, did you have anything that you guys wanted to look into?
Well, I was what is going on over there?
I'm not doing anything with that.
I was pretty set with the information I had gathered.
Anything strike you as particularly odd or unusual that you sort of want to piece together?
Nothing is immediately jumping out at me right now.
Okay. Meek, did you have anything that you wanted to put together? Anything that you noticed that seemed a little unusual that you're still trying to, sort of sort out?
Well, I have a piece all together yet.
We did have some unusual laughter. There doesn't seem to be a lot of children in the village. And I will point out that Kia also noted that although much of the area does have signs of human habitation, the wilderness behind the house that they live in is a lot less traveled in, with just wildlife back there and not people. So they're not using the wilderness that's up higher on the mountainside and that's behind the house that Miyuki and her mother and grandmother live in. So what that may mean, we'll see.
Briefly, I am recalling that the missing person, she liked to look out the window in her room. Which direction was that window?
The window looks out into beyond the village to the west. So it looks out across part of the mountainside over some of the forest, which is bamboo and hardwood, and then out to the coast and then the shore beyond.
Okay.
So it doesn't face over the village, if that make any sense. And I think there was one other thing, they were asked not to go into the back where there is a family shrine.
Yes.
That was another thing that people were asked not to do.
And as I recall, we were behaving like good guests.
Yes, so far.
So far, so good.
Always not running around and dancing and...
Hey, we made tea with some of Kwai's flowers, and flowers, very common flower petals, are often in a lot of teas in the region, so that makes sense.
Flowers.
All right. So, with that said, then I think I will continue from where we left off. Then we were just before the evening meal. And the people who live in the house adjacent to the main house where you guys have been looking into Miyuki's mother, they come in bearing a number of trays and bowls and the like, and they set out what appears to be some soups. There's some fish, as was requested. Simple things like clarified broths, bamboo shoots, some local greens. Not a lot of variety. What rice is there, and there is a little bit. Miyuki actually tells you they trade with the mainland for that, and because they don't have enough land to support growing rice on the island. It's very intensive for water.
So they
and for
trade
land
with
use.
the main Quatrica Islands.
Yes, they do to get supplies they can't produce for themselves.
Yeah, and the Quatrica Islands, a lot of that is grown in Brave.
So there's not a lot of rice, but it clearly is sort of a staple, and a lot of what they have is simple fare. You detect some basic spices, ginger, and something that's kind of sweet-ish, some kind of seed pod that's in some of the food, but which, later on investigation will turn out to be 5 spice and allspice. But nothing particularly surprising, nothing really strong flavored. It's all very subtle, but there are layers to it. And she as she's setting it out and giving out dishes, she sets some of them aside and says, "These are for my mother, my grandmother rather, and I'm going to bring her meal. Feel free to eat without me. And when she's done, I would think that you would probably want to speak with her. I'm going to let her know She may be a little unhappy with me for bringing you in.
From what I can see, that makes a bit of sense.
So, if you hear some noise, it's okay. There won't be any problems. But when I come back out, I'll let you know, and then you may go in to speak with her. So she takes some of the plates and moves on into the room that was designated for her grandmother. And she goes in, and you hear two voices. You hear the voice that you're familiar with, Miyuki, and then you hear sort of a quieter, a deeper voice speaking back to her, and they talk, and you can't really understand much of anything through the door from where you're sitting eating. If somebody wanted to move, you're totally fine to do that. But this is also time if you guys want to have a conversation as you eat about anything that you weren't comfortable saying in front of Miyuki.
Ira says, she seems nice.
This whole place seemed kind of nice. It's got a very antique charm to it, but with its own twist.
I noticed that.
Tara's just eating in silence.
And Koi is eating and kind of just lost in thought.
Kia will bring up, well, at this meal, just to NPC, what she found. The fact that there doesn't appear to be much activity up the hill that or the mountain that the Oizumi seems to rest on. That the wilderness behind the house and above has been left to the animals and the like, and kept pretty much separate from people, which wasn't so on much of the way up here. Much of the rest of that wilderness is well trod and hunted, but above there's a lot of wild creatures.
A lot of wild Mystimon. Interesting.
Okay, I got a question. When did it rain last? In the past week?
So who would you be asking that of? Or you're just trying to recall?
Try to recall.
So, it'd be a good nature roll. But
Nature
it's
survival.
Yeah, survival actually probably would make just as much sense. So either one, just give me whichever one you'd prefer. And it's a little trickier only because you're trying to remember what the weather might have been like here in the islands versus where you were in Almana. So you haven't been paying a lot of attention to weather elsewhere. Back at the ranch, it was relatively dry. But the weather patterns here, you would assume there's going to be more rainfall than what you see. So it'd be a place that's got a lot of
Weather
this area seems to be more prone to rain on a regular basis.
Weather in Almana tends to go in like wet season, dry season, wet season, dry season. In the summer-ish time period, that's more so like the dry season, and then as you move into the fall and winter months in Almana, and in southern Almana anyways, there's a lot of rain. Northern Almana tends to stay more drier, but does rain there from time to time. Southern Almana is a bit greener.
This place being a little more tropical,
Yeah.
you would expect a lot more wet weather. It's probably rained a number of
Yeah.
times in the last week, probably.
Yeah.
That's your best guess.
So I'm trying to ask or try to say is when the last time it rained when she disappeared? Did it rain before or after she disappeared?
That'll be a good question right now. Miyuki is talking with and giving her grandmother dinner. So you can ask her when she gets back, or you could ask the grandmother, I suppose.
If it rained before she disappeared, you might be able to find some tracks. Easier to find tracks. But if it rained after, it's gonna be hard.
That's important.
That is important.
So, anything else that you guys want to talk about? Any other questions that you have? Anything you want to sort of pass around before Miyuki returns?
Not at the
Hey,
moment.
have you guys tried this fish?
What was that, Felix?
Hey, have you guys tried this fish yet?
Ira says, "Yeah, I have. It's quite yummy." And Koi hasn't because she doesn't eat fish.
Picky eaters.
She's a vegetarian.
Opinionated eaters.
Yeah, vegetarian doesn't mean they can't eat meat.
Not that I hold it against her, but you're missing out.
Fish oil is good for your brain.
Anyway, yeah.
With in light of the light conversation over supper, after a while you hear the dragging of the door opening again, and Miyuki comes out with some plates, and she looks thoughtful. And again, I'll give people a chance to do a perception roll if they'd like to just figure out like what's going on with her. And the girls are welcome too as well.
27.
Yeah,
That was good fish.
it was good fish.
I'm too
So-
preoccupied with the fish.
Whoever rolled the 27 gets the sense that she's trying to put on a happy face for what probably was an uncomfortable conversation. And she nods to you all as you're finishing things up.
Okay, so
And says,
Ira says, "So you too, huh?" she knows a thing or two about difficult family relations.
Yeah. She was not pleased with my bringing you here. She is, however, willing to talk with you if you would like. I will clear your plates away, and then I will have the rest of my meal. But she, if you would like, she is available to you. You may go in when you're ready. Her name is Eiko, and my mother, I don't know that I gave you her name, was Kayoko. So if you speak with her about um, my mother, she would expect you to use her name appropriately.
Okay.
So there you go.
Much appreciated.
So she starts to busy herself picking up the dishes, and she actually walks out with all the dishes toward where she leaves a couple for herself to eat, but she's walking out right now with the plateware and the like to go and bring it to the people who helped serve your dinner. Who, I don't know, maybe they work here. Like, the sun is going down, it's getting darker, and it's not very well lit in here, so you're not sure exactly what the lighting situation is going to be once the sun is really down. But she leaves you guys alone in the main room, and the grandmother is in the room beyond.
I'm going to forecast dark.
Probably pretty dark. That usually is what happens at nighttime.
Usually.
What state are we with the moons at this time of this time of year?
Let's see here. Give me a moment to find the date.
Sure. So you guys are all by yourselves.
We got. I think we're actually getting close to double full moon stage.
That'll be it'll be bright outside then for those.
Lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the funny thing is, I didn't plan it.
It's a cloudless night. Yeah, sure.
Actually, when you came up, it had been a little bit misty, and the skies were semi-cloudy, so you might also be getting rain for all you know. Anyway, does anyone want to go in first? Anything you want to talk about before you go in to talk to the grandmother?
What should we ask her? Says Ira.
You know, I'm not 100% sure about that myself. Other than, the usual suspects of, like, has anything weird been going on in the village? And when was the last time Kyoko was here? And why exactly? Actually, no. Grandmother wouldn't know why we specifically were called out here. Maybe not. Probably not.
She knows what her daughter did, and she seemed kind of unhappy with that.
Yeah. So, actually, best to probably not ask specifically why we were tasked come in.
Probably.
So who wants to go right in?
Not it.
Felix, you go.
I was afraid of this.
The crazy one has to.
Yeah, you go in first, now we follow.
I will gently knock on the door. It is made out of paper, after all.
Yes. And there isn't a reply per se. There's like a from inside, and that's about it.
Pardon the intrusion, but would it be alright to come in and ask a few questions? Talk about things?
You're here anyway.
Ira
Alright,
says, she sounds lovely.
Someone who has just seen too much of the world.
The door is closed. Anybody
Yep.
want to open?
Yeah, I'll gently slide it open since I'm first, apparently.
First to die.
Yeah, ladies first.
So the door slides open just like all the other doors. The inside of the room, at first glance, is about as Spartan as much of the rest of the house was. There's some light blankets on the ground. There's a mattress that's out, and you can see that there is a woman who looks time worn, lying on the mattress with blankets. She is looking out the window, and there's like a little pendant sort of hanging in the window that's like like a little crystal that's hanging there, and the light sort of dances around some of the walls a little bit in the room. It doesn't have the smell of illness, but she's lying in bed like it's what she does. And she looks over, and you can see that there's her cheeks are hanging a little bit. She's got slightly watery eyes. She doesn't look like she feels well, but
Hay
she
fever, I
doesn't.
take it.
Something. It just looks. She looks like she's not well, and she doesn't get up, and she's not even trying, which, from what you've seen so far, there's usually a lot of politeness in the way that people look and nod, and she's not doing any of that, so that's a little awkward. But she looks over and she waves and she says, "Come in, all of you. I'm sure that my granddaughter has not told you everything, and although I do not agree with her decisions, you're here now."
Ira will follow after. It will follow in the back, like with Koi.
I'm second then. Huh.
I'm sure we all want this resolved quickly, as I lead the party properly into the room.
And once you're all inside, she waves her hand almost desultorily towards the door. Says, "Close that so we can have privacy." And as soon as
I look at the thin paper door one more time, and I'm like, privacy. And then and then slide it shut.
she looks over all of you, including Kia, and she notes everyone's disposition and says, "Whatever my granddaughter said she will pay you, you will be paid, no matter what. But I do not agree with her bringing you here over Kyoko's decision. If I had any other way of dealing with this, I would. And I am not pleased that she brought you here. But the truth is that my granddaughter does not understand the whole situation. And if you are to do the job that you've been hired to do, then you must understand it." She goes and looks out that window again. And you can almost hear like a little bit of a bubble in her lungs, like it's slightly watery. Again, there's not the smell that you're used to when somebody's like really sick, but she looks like somebody who's not getting out of that bed anytime soon.
So she's dying.
Who's saying that?
I'm saying that
Ira's
out of character.
thinking it.
Out of character.
Mhm.
We're thinking it.
Yeah.
Taking it out loud.
And the silence starts to stretch on a little bit.
I guess I'll start by asking if it was Kyoko's decision to eschew the conveniences of the modern day and build this quiet village as it appears.
Eiko looks at you, and her eyes almost get kind of laser focused on you for a moment.
I am unfazed.
And she says, Oizumi was my dream. It was my dream. All of this has been my dream. And Kyoko was not satisfied. She has been here, she grew up here, she knows every one of the people in this village. And she says that she values what we've built. And then she talks to me of irrigation, of ways to use technology. I'm not against the things that were present when I was a young girl. I think there's a value in that. But I think all the things that people out there use, I don't think it's brought them much happiness. Why make life more complicated than it has to be?
Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. That's what Ira says.
Eiko looks over and nods. Which is why some will always choose to live like they live out there. But in here, this is the dream. And I think it can be maintained. I do not agree that a small community must grow. It can be a healthy community and still be small. But Kyoko did not agree.
I'm going to say my piece just to get off my chest. I hate to say this, reality's set in stone. Ideals comes and goes.
You and my daughter would probably have many things to talk about. But then you come from out there, and I'm sure all of this looks poor and foolish, and why embrace poverty and a life without all the things that you're used to? And she looks a little sour.
Sure, there's that. But have you tried the fish here?
She looks back at you. I would not want to have restaurants and other things, but there are things that are special. And I understand the trade that we do helpful to keeping Oizumi stable. But then my daughter had to go and leave. And Kyoko took the stone with her.
What stone would that be?
And she coughs, and you do hear sort of the bubble and the burble of something in her chest. She took my stone with her. She took it with her, and she left. She came in the night a week ago and took it, and I have been getting worse. And Miyuki does not want to believe it, but this is the reason I'm willing to talk with you, because I understand that if the stone cannot be found, and if I cannot get it back, then within a week I will no longer be here. And then what point is the dream at all?
So, it's some sort of magical stone that keeps you alive.
She nods. It seems so foolish. I found it when I was a child. I found it around my house. And she coughs again. And it was just a little thing. And it was so pretty. And it was mine. And I've had it my whole life. And sometimes I would talk to it, and I would tell it all my stories, and I made a wish upon the stone that everything could be kept as wonderful as this. And things changed, and we lost people, and family has died. But somehow everything was special. And we have been able to make Oizumi, and it still is this dream. And now my daughter has lost her belief in that dream, I think, and she has taken the stone with her. And I will never be able to see her again. And that seems wrong. So I know that my granddaughter hired you, and she brought you here, and she probably told you very little.
Just that your daughter, Kyoko, went missing.
But I need you to find her. And so I'm willing to tolerate you here, even though you are not from Oizumi. You're not part of the dream. I would ask you please to find her. And if you can bring back the stone to me, but that seems selfish. And she looks at the window, and she looks at the crystal, and at the fading lights as the sunset sort of shows across the mountaintop. Whatever questions you have, I know you are investigators. She said you you find many things and you search for things, and that you are known to be people who can find things that everyone else has given up hope on. I will answer your questions, but then I need rest.
What should we ask? I say out of character.
Well, I'm ready to start with the obvious. Do you have any idea where Kyoko might have gone with the stone?
I don't believe she's left the island, if that's what you ask. And there is nothing up the mountain. I do not believe people in the village would hide her from me. I think there would be shame in her going to them to tell them. Knowing her, she wouldn't go far. But I don't know what she wants with the stone.
What exactly does this stone do? Is it simply just a mundane object? Does it have some sort of... I would say a personal connection, but you've already made it clear that you and that stone have been close your whole life.
What do you think about do you have people that you know in your communities who sometimes know more than they should? People with a gift.
I mean, on the odd occasion, I'm one of those people.
Kyrene is a telepath, says Ira.
What about people who can know another person's secrets, or who hear or see things that tell them what tomorrow may bring?
Yeah, Kyrene.
Premonitions and divinations.
Yeah.
Not necessarily through magic, but for a long time in my family, there have been people with a gift, and it comes at a price. And there have been times when I see a thing or I hear a thing, and I know that it will be true. And I know that if I die, Oizumi will fade, and it will be forgotten. And I don't know if it has to do with the stone, but I think my daughter wanted me to know how much this means to her. But I don't think she meant to kill me. and she coughs, and it's bronchial. And she lays back. And she looks at the ceiling, at the shadows. I don't know if there's something in the stone. I don't know why I need it. There are times when I think that everything here is just a reflection. And she holds up her hand, and she makes like a curve in the center of her hand, as if she were holding something maybe just a small bit larger than, say, a cherry. Says, it sits in my hand like this, except it's not here. It's never far from my side. It is all white, except sometimes there's color inside it. So maybe it's magical, but maybe the magic is just the magic of children and of hopes. Please find Kyoko.
Felix went AFK.
Yep. So, that's what she asks.
We'll see what we can do. Oh, by the way, when the last time it rained? Before or after she left?
Oh, it rains during this season many days. It has rained a couple of times at least since she left. Why do you ask?
Because if it's possible to have a ranger find her tracks, even though it's been a few days, but the rain's going to make it difficult because it washes us out.
She nods her head. I don't think that she has gone so very far. I would say she's probably not far from here at all. There's no boats for her to use to leave. There is no retreat or hideaway that I'm aware of. I do not know if she has a cave or a glade or anywhere that she goes. But it can't be very far away. And there must be some food or drink nearby for her to be able to stay there.
Okay.
She wouldn't be on the north side of the island. It is less hospitable.
You never know.
She nods. I don't know. Go tell my granddaughter she did not do poorly in hiring you. I don't want another of my relations to feel that they need to leave me too.
We will do so.
She coughs and she lies back and she rests, and the light is starting to fade now. And there doesn't seem to be, as you look around, like much in the way of like lanterns or other types of alternate lighting. And in a house with a lot of paper, that might not be too safe to have open flame.
Yeah, especially when the walls and doors made of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Easy combustion. Poof.
And then everything comes down. A lot of wood construction here. Papers in a village like the one that you came through, or actually the village itself, fire is a real devastating thing when that comes through. All right. Anything else you want to do while you're here before you leave?
I don't feel like there's clues to be had in the things that Aiko keeps in her room. Besides, she's still here.
Mm.
So I guess as leader of this group at the moment, I think a simple, simply thanking her for talking with us and letting her get her rest is a good call.
Hmm. So, anything else that you want to do? Just let me know. Is otherwise, I'll assume that you leave the room and let her have her silence.
I am good to leave.
Yeah, I'm good
When
to go
you
too.
make your way back into the main room, you see that the plates um, that Miyuki set aside for herself, that those have been emptied, and she doesn't seem to be here at the moment. So you're just in the main room again, and there's a bunch of empty bowls and plates and stuff, and it's getting darker. And you know that Kyoko's missing, that she still echoes stone, and Eiko believes that she'll die without it, and if she dies, she believes that Oizumi will die with her.
Selfish notion.
Hmm.
And we also have the belief that the mother that we're looking for didn't go far.
Right now it's too dark, but even though is the moon out up in the sky, or is it not up in the horizon yet?
You can't see any from where you are in the house, but you do have hopes that you should have two close to full moons tonight. So there will be some lighting out if you need to look around. It's probably the best night to do some recon on. And there aren't enough spaces here for everyone to sleep, so some people will probably, if they want to go to sleep, sleep in the village. There was the offer of people in the village putting you up. As the conversation is going on about that, Miyuki comes back into the main room and looks up and looks surprised, and she's sort of like wiping her hands a little bit. And she's like, "Oh, you're done already. Tell me she was not. Tell me she was not cruel or mean."
No, actually, she was rather pleasant.
She was actually, I don't know, I guess isn't quite the right word, but she was accepting of the situation, and after getting a chance to talk with us, she did ask for us to let you know that she's pleased with the people you chose for this task.
She sighs, and you can see like a release, like her shoulders aren't held quite so high, and she looks a lot less uncomfortable, and she nods to you all and says, thank you. We are a close family. This is not normal for us. Please do not judge us by these moments. And she ducks down to pick up the plates from the eating place and sort of tidy up a little bit. It's
We're
getting dark.
used to being involved in abnormal circumstances. We don't...
To say the least.
Abnormal?
More like paranormal.
Yeah, the things we dealt with isn't normal.
Yeah.
You're putting that a little lightly, Felix.
She
That's
she
the
nods.
point.
So she says, some of you will want to sleep in the village. Yes, it's getting dark, and most here, well, we go down with the light usually.
That's way too much sleep. Well, first light, we just look around the trails near the house, and possibly we check the wilds.
You think that my mother has gone into the wilds?
It's possible.
There's
Yeah.
not many other places she could have gone.
She nods thoughtfully. I don't know where she would go. Everything is here. I mean, there are temporary hunters' watches in the forest below, and there are a couple of small fishing houses on the coast, but nothing that anyone would comfortably live in. She's been gone for a week.
Be surprised. People do survive in the wild.
Where do you think you'll look? She looks around, she looks outside, she looks at the villages. Smoke drifts up into the sky. It's going to be wet tonight, I think, at some point. I think we'll get some rain. But you can see the moons. She starts to gesture.
Well, yes, we'll see the moon.
Well,
First light, we'll do our check.
So I can take you, those of you who wish to. Some may stay here if they want, and some can stay in the village. There are a few families that are willing to put people up.
I'll let those two have the room here. Just don't be too noisy, you two.
To what are you referring?
Kids, they get noisy.
They're 18.
like we said, kids.
Yeah, I'm 48, so.
We haven't done that yet, if that's what you're referring to.
Apparently, they haven't
We
done.
said nothing.
Paint and Vino has not been on their schedule.
We said nothing.
I'll already said my piece. I'm just leave it at there.
So,
Let them think about it.
so Felix, Tira, and Kia are going to go down to the village, and you're going to leave Ira and Koi to stay here at the house.
That sounds like the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, because apparently there's enough room for 2 people anyways here.
Yeah, I mean, you could stuff more people in that room. You just have to put down, like, blankets and stuff.
I don't feel
They're not
like
big
having
rooms.
a sardine can.
All right. So she does lead you back to the village, and there are a couple of families that are not far. Probably a 7 to 10 minute walk from the house. There are some houses, and the families there, they have rooms, a room that they're willing to give you, and you get the sense very quickly that it's a room usually of like a family member who's just going to crowd into another room in the house to sleep for that night. And there are 2 rooms in one place and another room in another place. And as soon as Miyuki has introduced you to the families, and the families show you where the rooms are, she moves to go back up to the house to play host for Ira and Kwai, and it leaves the 3 of you. And at that moment, and I'm going to just NBC Kia for a moment. Kia looks to you both and says, "While there's light, we can look. I mean, I'm not ready to go to sleep yet."
It probably would be a good idea to start looking before the rain hits. I know the trail's already a week old, but every little bit helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, even though it already rained once or twice since he left.
Yeah.
Point ties.
And Kia points out that behind the house there wasn't anything really but like animal tracks, and it's possible that some of the tracks could have been washed away, but the animals wouldn't travel so freely right behind the house if it was a place that people went on a regular basis. The only place that people went behind the house is there's like an outhouse back there. And you guys noticed that while her bedroom seems like it was abandoned, but like somebody was planning to possibly come back, you also noticed that her sandals were missing. So you know that she chose to leave and that she went walking in a place where she expected her sandals would be needed.
Well, if we don't have any better idea...
Also, I'd like both of you to roll perception for me.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. If we don't have any better ideas than that, I think searching the area in the direction that her window was looking is potentially a good place to start.
Alright.
So you're going to double back towards the house and then go around on the western side of it?
Yeah.
So going back to the house, you're gonna have to keep it kind of quiet if you don't want Miyuki to see you guys coming back. So I'd like everyone and Seth, if you wanted NPC Kia for the moment, if you guys could all roll stealth, that would be excellent.
Sure. I'll go pull up Kia here for a second.
Thank you.
That's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's 30?
What I'm going to say is, because you guys are all working together, between Felix's amazing roll and Kia's really great roll, you guys are able to keep Tira from like trotting on all the rough parts of the road and avoiding twisting her ankle and the like. And so you're
moving
able to,
this twig out of the way.
yeah, you like kick a bunch of things out of the way quickly and silently. So you're able to make your way back up pretty quickly. The families don't stop you. They don't seem too bothered, like they expect maybe you're just enjoying the night. And so you're able to make your way back very effectively without being seen. In fact, you see Miyuki sort of disappear into the house, and she pulls the main doors closed. So you feel pretty confident that as long as you don't light any bright fires or anything, most people inside the house aren't going to notice you unless they start looking out the windows. You also know that Miyuki's window is facing the wooden house that the servants, the people who did the cooking, that where they live. So as long as you get past that, which you're able to do really well, then you're the only two windows on the other side of the house will be from Kyoko's window and from Eiko's window.
Okay.
So you are able to make your way, and there's like a little shed on that side, and then the forest gets kind of thick, and there's no fencing, so theoretically, you can make your way around there, but you're able to get to that side, and you see sort of like a little bit of a glade, and back towards the back of the house is where that like the little shrine is, that's like the family shrine that's there. Which it wouldn't take too much. You just have to sneak past Eiko's window. You go back there as well. You're looking out, and there's a little bit, and then it gets kind of steep, 20, 30 feet on from that window area. And looking out at the west, looking out at the last dregs of the sunset, at the gloaming in the sky and the like. It's dark. It's sort of that dark purple and blue that the sky sort of falls to, and the stars are just sort of peeking out. And you see little bits fireflies sort of wink in and out along the greenery, but it's quiet.
Okay.
And I'm gonna, at this moment, call a very quick and brief bio break. I'm going to be changing locations briefly, and then I'll be back in just a couple moments. So any discussions you want to do, go for it. I will be back in, I'd say, 3 minutes.
Okay. A bathroom break sounds good to me. I'm gonna disappear.
Sorry, folks, we will be right back in a moment. We're taking a small break.
Surprise!
Alrighty, we are back, folks. Heading off to Bifrost. Take it away.
So, so you're looking pretty much right from the perspective of outside of her window, and you can look out, and there is, as I said, about maybe 20 or 30 before it gets a little steeper, 20 or 30 feet out, and the ground starts to descend a little bit into some heavy woods, but also, to a sort of a sharper grade. But there's plenty of access on this side. There's no fences or anything, so there's access to the back as well, to where they have the personal shrine, etc. And maybe 20, 25 feet to your right would be the window that her mother, Aiko, has, the one with the stone that hangs in the window, the piece of crystal. Ah, Tira, you're using dark vision.
Yeah, I decided to use a dark version. I'm like, yep.
Good call. It's going to get darker here, especially because you're facing away from where the moons would be rising. So nothing jumps out at you right away, but is there anything that you guys are specifically looking for?
Like trail breaks, like breaks on little twigs or branches. It could be like a path. Looking for paths.
So not just things on the ground, but also like any kind of sign of passage through the greenery and the like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any breakage.
Well, this is definitely survival here.
Yeah, I think Kia should be able to have no problem doing this because she's a ranger.
It's kind of her thing.
Yeah, she probably have easier time than we will.
And I
Or
can
not.
assist with that. Or not.
Or not. So, Tira, as you're looking around, you do note that you notice something, and you're like, it looks pretty normal back here. It's mostly grass covered area. There's not a lot of like animal tracks or anything in this area. The ground has a lot of ground cover, so it's not exactly the ground is soft. It's slightly damp, so it gets plenty of moisture most of the time. But then something hits you as the other two are just sort of noticing, general things. And the thing that hits you as you're looking around is towards the drop off, towards the area about 30 feet away where it gets steep. If a person were out here, say, without really good like hiking footwear, and they were going to try and descend something like that, it would leave a lot of scree. Even rain wouldn't necessarily put that away. Like you'd see as you're looking for like broken branches, you'd see places where things are flattened, and you'd see places where the dust and the dirt would fall off, and you'd see scrape marks and skid marks as a person's trying to descend that, and it would be kind of dangerous over in that area. And the thing you notice is that you don't see anything going down that cliff face there. You don't see anybody trying to descend that area, and there's no signs anyone tied anything off to try and do a descent there safely. So if she did come over here on this side of the house, then she didn't go down the cliff from what you can see.
And you're like matted down the grass, and that's leading off elsewhere from the edge.
Well, I mean, this area here is somewhat clear. There's not a lot of high grass. It's like this area has been kept somewhat manicured, rather than let go wild, and it seems to be sort of an extension from the rear of the house, and the fact that they've got their own personal shrine back here. It's like somebody kept this area manicured as well. If that makes sense.
How far down the ravine?
So you want to go up to the edge and sort of look down?
Yeah.
So you go the 30 feet or so, and it's fine, and you get closer, and the ground is kind of loose here, and you do glance down as you're getting closer, and there's places like the next 20 feet or so it descends maybe about 10 feet. So it's like you could get down it safely, but then you see that it starts to drop off pretty substantially. There's trees and the like there, so that would catch somebody if they started falling down that area. But it's a pretty substantial decline, and you do see at some distance at least one of the places where the path that led you up here switchbacks. You can see like parts of it down 100 200 feet down. So if somebody were to descend here, they would end up back at that path, but it would be kind of tricky to get down here without like some good climbing material. You'd need some rope or something to get down there safely. And there aren't any like big trees here on the edge that you could attach to. There's some bushes and the like, but those are sort of trimmed and manicured as part of that whole like curated space on this side of the house and towards the back.
How far is across is the ravine?
Well, it starts to descend. It's not so much a ravine here as it is just sort of the side of the mountain.
Oh, okay.
So if she went down that way, she'd need material that's not present here. So either somebody would have to like have cleared it away, and you wouldn't do that in sandals.
Well, I can look from the side to side and see another path from here to there, other than going down.
Okay. So looking to the left is that shed-like area where they probably have more storage or objects or anything else like that. To the right is, sort of a little bit of manicured lawn, sort of cared for. There's, some bushes that are there, and then it leads back to the back area where you were told where the family shrine is supposed to be. And so it's just basically there. It leads basically towards what you would call their backyard.
Alright, I'm going to
And
go
that
to the
area
path of
is
least
all,
resistance.
and that area is all, as I said, it's been cared for. Like somebody does a lot of trimming and maintenance of like the garden work here. Like that matters to them.
If I remember right, sometimes the grass stays down when it's been trotted on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to look for deep depressions of grass and like paths.
Which way are we going? Back towards the front of the house or towards the back of the house?
I'm looking to my left and my right. I'm looking for like depressions in the grass.
Okay. I'll take survival from everyone again to just sort of clarify that.
All right. Tracking people isn't really my strong suit.
No.
But he is. And Meek. But Meek's not here.
Wow.
Can I spend
Oh,
a story point?
That is her strong suit.
Can I spend a story point?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Well, at least it's not one.
Yeah, you don't want the one. So you don't see anything where it looks like somebody's walked recently. This area has definitely been trodden, in the last week. You don't know if it's just sorry, that's my dog in the background. You don't know if it's just to do the trimming that you see around here or the like, but someone has been back here in the last week. It's not Aiko. You can be pretty sure about that. So
Yeah.
It could be one of the people that assists with upkeep of the house or anything. But people have been back here, but you can't tell how recently, and it would be in the last week.
Okay, I'm going to continue to follow until to the path of least resistance to that trail on that mountain.
Okay, so up to the edge, or you're gonna try and let yourself down, or are you gonna try heading back towards the village?
I'm going to head down. Why not? See, I'm going to test my luck.
So, do you want to do you have any climbing material? Do you want to try and tie something on just to look around here?
Let me see. I got some rope, but I don't know how far down is the cliff.
So, as I said, it descends about 10 feet straight ahead, and then there's it starts, so the grade goes to, I'd say probably like a 20 to 30 degree grade, and then it starts to descend a lot faster after that. So not exactly the kind of place that you would walk, but if you're trying to sort of scale down the side a little bit, you'd probably want some type of rope or support. They're looking around. There are a couple of bushes you could try to anchor yourself to.
All right.
Our standard issue 50 feet of rope.
Everyone's got some. Might as well use it for once, for other than tying on to other people. How many times have we tied onto each other? So, tying the rope onto one of the bushes, you note that under the bushes themselves, The ground is relatively clear. There's nothing. It doesn't look like anybody's been down here tying anything. You get the rope knotted on, and seems relatively solid. And then you try scaling down a little bit, and this is an easy task. Are you trained in athletics?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not even a thing that I need you to roll then.
Okay.
Anybody
I'm
who's
expert in it
trained-
anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say anyone who's got trained or better in athletics can climb a rope on an incline like the first part of it, and you get down to sort of the slightly lower ledge, and you're down there, and the ground's kind of it's strewn with debris. It looks like people from above sometimes throw stuff over this cliff face when they're cleaning off. So you get like there's grass clippings and there's like dead-headed flower heads and branches that have been cut off of the bushes and other things. So you can see that there's debris down here from garden work that they've done.
I mean, I suppose that's one way to deal with the yard waste.
Yeah, throw it down the cliff.
Yeah, we grow a new environment down here.
Yeah, and it doesn't, this area it's somewhat stable. It doesn't look like there's many folk that have been down to this level that you can tell. You can see a lot of stuff here, but nothing that's that indicates somebody's been walking around down in this area. Glancing down to down the slope from here, anybody without some type of climbing material, the like, would have a difficult time without like doing full-on climbing, hand and foot, looking for solid rocks. And just from the way it feels under your feet, this is somewhat soft soil. It doesn't feel like it's really hard or stony. So if you grab onto something that's not really solid, it would give way really fast. This would not be the kind of place that you'd want to go and do good mountain climbing without equipment, because you could end up sliding down right into the tree line, right into the larger items that are along the side of this edge of the mountain that you're on right now. It would be dangerous for someone who's in sandals.
Okay. I don't know you guys, but I don't think she went this way.
Well, if she look out the window in the west, maybe she went down that direction.
So, you gonna keep trying to let yourself down, or what?
I think you guys, we should start our search again at the switchback partway down this trail.
Okay.
Okay. So you're gonna let yourself back up?
We're gonna head back up, and then we're gonna take the path down to where it switches back a bit further down the mountain, but still to the west of the house.
So you collect yourselves up, and you're going to cross back in front of the house again. Keep it a little quiet. So go ahead and give me your stealths. And in the meantime, we're going to do a quick switch to... So go ahead and give me your stealth rolls here. Well, that's not bad at all. That's very nice.
Okay.
And Seth, when you can, do that one. And then I think we're going to switch back to the room with the girls for the moment.
So, in the middle of the night, Chloe wakes up in sweat and tears, and she is screaming, and Ira immediately gets to her and starts consoling her. And let's go back a little bit. A couple of years ago, Kyrene had put Koi under hypnosis to try and dig into her memories, to try to figure out exactly what happened to her family. And what Koi remembers seeing was she was on a ship when it was attacked. She knows that it was on fire. That's why she's afraid of fire. And she remembers seeing a black shadow. At the time, Kyrene assumed this had to be Rays, the Time Wraith, an enemy from her own past. But as Koi is explaining what she saw in her nightmare to Ira, she realizes that that black shadow was not a shadow at all. She says it was a man in a black cloak. And I think the boat, the ship, it went down near here. And Iris says, "Are you sure?" And Koi says, "Yes, I'm very sure. I think the boat went down very near here." Iris says, "Well, maybe there's still some pieces of it laying around somewhere." And that's where we can bounce back to you guys.
So, as you guys are leaving, you do hear the noise from the house. Of the girls crying. Do you want to just keep going, or what's the plan? Yes, there's the illusion of peace and quiet here is pretty small.
Very.
You're gonna ignore it, as clearly a lot of the social people around here would do, or do you want to? Does this alarm you? What do we want to do? Otherwise, we can keep going.
Not very curious about it. So, whatever.
Okay. Felix on the fence, or not going to worry about it?
But I do recognize the scream, do I? The voice.
Oh yeah, you recognize this? That's quiet.
Yeah, thinking to myself, oh man, the old lady's gonna be sick and grumpy tonight, or in the morning, or just have a heart attack. Who knows?
I just noticed that I was muted over here. It's all my fault. Yeah, I don't think Felix would be too worried about it, because it was just one sudden outburst, and then like things are calming back down again, and yeah.
Okay. So you trek back towards the village, and the village is quiet, and you're walking through the village, and there's not a lot of movement. You do see at some point you're walking down the road through the middle of the village, and there is like an older man who's sitting in a doorway, and he's stropping a knife on a length of leather. And he's not doing it to be like threatening or whatever else. He's just working over the work. But it's quiet, and you don't see many lights. You see some smoke and chimneys, but most of the noise has very much settled. It's kind of unquiet, disquieting just how quiet it is. There are some. You can hear some animal noise in the woods nearby. There's some. There's the call of. There's like a sort of a bark that you hear that is typical of uh, like small animals, like foxes. Not necessarily. They don't have coyotes here. Not ball throw barking or howling. But it's sort of a strange, sort of chittering, high pitched noise. And there's a little bit of flittering in the trees. Bats. And go ahead and give me a perception check again.
One perception check. One. Try that again.
Go for it.
That's
Okay.
about as big of a swing as I could hope for.
Yeah, Tira hears the sound of laughter. Young child laughter. Felix, you not only hear it, you hear it running behind the houses.
So like,
And it's the laughter that people heard before. A girl giggling.
Okay. At this late at night, a little less convinced that it's normal, actual children running around in the night. Running around.
Yeah.
You don't think middle of the night is normal kids running around time?
No.
You wouldn't like it in my neighborhood, unfortunately. But I
Not
also
with
agree.
no lights out here and like. No, this finally seems a little odd.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, since we don't have to actually worry too much about who's noticing us at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
I'll point out to the rest of the party that I'm hearing those kid giggling noises.
I'm kind of wondering as to how long that's been going on, or just
So
as
late
recent.
at night.
I'm talking about when that laughter has been happening.
You guys heard it yesterday, or no, in the daytime when you were coming up. Some of you heard it in the village.
Yeah, this
But
afternoon.
You haven't seen a lot of kids, but that definitely was something that was heard. So, but yes, you definitely hear that now. And
So, after letting the party know about it, I'm gonna head in the direction of this laughing noise.
so you start to wend your way, and that old guy who was stropping the leather in the doorway sort of watches, but he doesn't get up. And you make your way between the houses, sort of towards where you hear it, and you hear quick motion. sort of to your right, like something sort of dashing between leaves or bushes, and you see behind the houses there's like just little plots where people are doing like their own like subsistence gardening and the like, and there's the sheds and what have you, and this behind the houses is another one of those like drop offs, and if you were to walk up that area that would lead you back up towards where the manor house is, but the sound seems to be coming from your right as if something is in the bushes, and the giggling is there.
I'll somewhat quietly address the giggling bush. Hello? There's someone there?
You hear skittering, like something's moving in there, and the giggling sort of trails away from you to your ahead of you, like it's running away. But it doesn't sound like people, because people are bigger and they move more. This seems to be like it's
Something
a girl
tiny.
laughing, but it's small.
Yeah. Well, unless there are objections from the rest of the party, I think this is something worth following.
Well, you're fast on his feet. You probably catch it before we could.
I don't know. I don't want to chase after it, but I'll head in the direction of it as it continues moving away.
GM Seth, can you roll a survival for me for Kia? That's a good roll. As you start making your way sort of in that direction, Kia is looking down at the ground in the area, and she points out that it has been disturbed. And then she says, I've seen these tracks before.
What are they?
She points it out, and she points out tracks that look like animal tracks. They're two, sort of stretched out toe pads, and then a pair just outside of that, and little nail marks, and then sort of a heavier sort of heel pad. And the nails all sort of, cluster together. But it looks like any number of animal tracks you've seen before, but Kia is very certain of this. I've seen this before.
What type of Mystimon is this?
And she says, this is a fox-like Mystimon.
Okay, let me bring up my Mystiary. I believe I actually put this in here before.
Yep.
Ikune.
Is that accurate?
Right there.
Okay. So she says, yep, I've seen this. There's a number of them around here. And I saw a number of them sort of behind the house. But I didn't see any people tracks back there, just Ikune and deer track and the like. But that I recognize this, she says. And she's a ranger. She's pretty confident about that.
Okay,
And there's giggling.
I'm ready to take that information at face value from a party member. they're not native to the areas in Almana that Felix is from, right?
Yes, actually, they are native to some regions of Almana. They're native to particularly this to southern Almana.
Okay.
Those ones tend to be brownish in color. As I note here, there are several varieties around the world. The ones in the islands tend to be reddish in color, whereas there are some in the northern regions of Atlantia, Highwind, as well as Arctica and Arcticus that are white.
So go ahead and give me perception rolls again, as the moonlight up above is starting to cast these back walls and areas in heavy relief.
34.
Yeah, so Tira and Kia, as you're looking, there is rustling in the bushes, and Kia catches sight of something reddish running up the hill again, sort of back the way you came to some degree.
Shall we follow it?
I mean, it's the best lead we've got right now.
And the giggle of the girl continues. And if you listen to many fox calls, I will tell you that none of them sound like the giggling of a young girl.
Yeah, they're creepy as hell, especially at night. Yeah, because some fox cries and howls sounds creepy sometimes.
Oh, they can be very creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a number of different fox calls, and it's one of the few animals that has a great variety of different calls. But a giggling girl call is not a common call for foxes.
Yeah. I will note that Icone, around the world, there are various myths or rumors or legends associated with Icone that they are like spiritual in nature, or they have something to do with spirits. They're not officially declared by scholars as spirit color. They are earth color, but there's the association there that they have some spiritual part to them.
So where are we going, guys?
In the direction of the giggling fox noises.
Okay. So it weaves back and forth behind the houses. And every once in a while, when you guys pause and you're not so sure where to go, somehow a little flash of red, a little motion again. And it becomes kind of clear that it's playing a game, that it's leading you guys. You find yourself behind the houses where you were set to stay, and then it goes into the forest, up above. It comes, it leads you into the denser woods leading towards the cliff face, and then it runs along that area, and it pauses in a bit of moonbeam between branches, and you see just the edge of like a little bit of a face and an upturned ear, and then it's off into the shadows and under bushes again. And you are weaving behind the house where the caretakers are, and then it goes past where the outhouse is and goes around, and you find before long that you're coming out again into that area that you guys were told to stay away from. And
Is it the shrine behind the family house?
Seth, can I have you share the image for private shrine?
Oh no.
Okay.
So this is you find yourself coming out into that sort of curated area again, and you're behind the house, and actually not far from you, you spot a form that looks very familiar. Can you share the fox statue for me?
Okay.
Just off to the side, there is in fact a statue, and it looks like an Ikune. And you note that someone has tied a bit of cloth about its neck, and it sits very still, and it looks similar to the fox that you saw in the woods. And in its jaws, carved in, you see something of a round stone. And you can hear the giggle, but you can't see it now. And the house is to your left, and you're sort of there's like a little dirt kind of garden area that looks like it's been raked to keep it kind of clean. And there's, a pathway that leads up to the little shrine, and but the sunlight the moonlight is sort of glancing off of windows, and the front door does not have paper. It's just sort of an open grate. But you'd still have, it's made like the paper doors you saw inside the house, except open to the weather.
Don't you love how, as you're going along here, I'm able to add in, yep, that's part of Ikone's nature.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the play, guys?
I don't know. Felix is very conflicted about.
Mm-hmm. You're
Is
somewhere
it a
you're not supposed to
Mystimon
be.
or is it a ghost?
No, it's we were not supposed to trespass on this part of the family land.
This is the no-no. You're in the bad place that you're not supposed to go.
Yeah.
Let's backtrack out.
Oh,
But
also,
at the same time, we're already here.
there are some in the raked off sand garden area that you see. There
I
are
hope we're
also
not
marks.
standing in it.
No, you're not. But there are. You
Okay.
can see fox Ikune prints there. So now here's the question.
We didn't ask for permission to be back here anyways, because that's one of the questions I forgot to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Whoops.
Kia probably said, me three.
Yep.
And the other two probably said, me four, me five.
Yeah, but they're asleep, being good little girls.
So you go look in the shrine.
Unlike Kia and Tira.
Get back away. Yep.
Tira's like, we're not supposed to be here, but you go ahead.
I'm more ready to turn back and ask about taking a look here in the morning.
Yeah, we can do that.
This was a very I don't know if you intended this, since you didn't really know too much about the wildlife in the area, but it's hard to tell if it is actually a Mystimon that they're chasing after, or if it's a ghost or something else. Because with Ecodays being what they are, it's really hard to tell.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason that I called you guys, but it doesn't have to be ghosts necessarily. So
Yeah.
So
yeah, good night's rest. My vote is now for a good night's rest, followed by an early morning inquiry.
Yep.
Okay. So you double back, and the laughter falls away, and it's quiet when you get back to the village, and it is quiet in the village for the first time since you arrived. And when you make your way inside, the families are asleep. You're going to hear whichever one that you, Tira, are going into, somebody is sawing wood like crazy. And it is, the rooms are small and they're simple.
I want to like quietly put their head to the side so they quit sawing.
The room that you peek into has 4 people in it, and at least 2 of them are making noise. They're all asleep. It's a whole family that's crowded into one room right now, so that you can have a room to sleep in. But a little bit of careful manipulation, and it's a little quieter, and you can all bed down and get reasonable sleep for the night.
Yep. The reason I did that because I might be able to sleep because I want to sleep through a saw sawing.
Oh, it's tough. So, night wanes, day rises early. There's motion in the house even before the sun is fully up. Wherever you are, and people are out once you guys reconvene in the roadway. Some people are gathering things to go down the path towards the beaches, towards where they're doing fishing. There's a lot of activity. Morning activity seems to be pretty big here. So, people who go to bed with the night get up with the dawn. That's what's going on here. And you guys head back?
Yeah, we head back.
When you arrive, the girls are still getting up, but it seems that Miyuki is up, and she's been to see her grandmother. And she's there, and she says, I know that breakfast is a large meal. You do sweet for breakfast, I hear, on the mainland? I can have fruit brought for you if that would be to your desire.
Either or is fine.
I'm alright with what I've brought.
Okay. So you'll be looking for my mother today, yes?
Yes, and about that, something that managed to slip our mind last night. We were wondering if it would be alright to take a look at the family shrine.
She looks a little anxious. And then she closes her eyes, and then she nods, and she says, "My grandmother said it was a good choice to bring you here, so I should trust your instincts. I I don't know why, but if you want to go look at the shrine, you may do so. The door is that way," and she points.
Thank you. We'll treat it with respect.
She nods in gratitude, and she goes to her room and slides the door closed. So you have permission. She's not opening the door for you.
That's fine. Just the part is, when we step out there, we'll be walking on thin ice.
Yep. So there's a stone path that leads up underneath the arch, and a set of stairs. Each one of these should theoretically block spirits that are trying to make their way up to the shrine. The doors themselves are, as I described before, they're painless with paper missing. It's just sort of a great. But you see that there's windows in the front, and from inside there's windows on the sides as well. It seems, from what you can see through the front, very simple. There's a lot of woven mats on the ground, and there are some tables and some pictures put up inside. But that's before you're able to open things. And there's no lock or anything. The doors are just pulled closed, but they will slide open just like the doors in the house. There's no locks here. The fox statue still is there, by the way. It still has the red bandana. It still has the plain stone in its mouth.
Okay.
Okay, there's a statue there. Okay. At least it's not disappeared to uh-oh.
Yeah, that would be even more fun.
Is it still giggling at us?
Go ahead and give me a normal perception roll.
Okay.
You don't
I'm
hear
not
any giggling.
paying attention.
No, you're paying attention. It's just you don't hear it here. It's a windy morning.
Okay.
Tira doesn't hear anything. And is that Ira's roll?
Yeah.
Ira hears giggling. But it's sourceless, it's just around. And Kia also hears laughter as well. But faint. Not near as clearly as Ira does.
Okay.
So. What's the plan?
I think before actually entering, looking around the building for signs of travel.
Okay. So my survival people can give me rolls.
I'm certainly not noticing it.
I will note that Ira's mode of survival usually tends to be more around her background as a street urchin, so more like urban.
Okay. So Ira will note that there's not a lot of debris left around. There's no trash or anything. It doesn't look like this area is very trod regularly. Kia notes plenty of animal tracks, especially Akuni tracks. Not people tracks. And there's nothing back here that suggests that beyond the sort of manicured garden area that people travel beyond that. But you do note as you're going around that there are windows on the sides of the shrine as well as the front. There are no windows in the rear.
Okay.
So the back wall is solid.
And are these the same open wooden bar windows?
The ones that you see in the front of the private shrine with glass, there are glass windows on the sides as well.
Okay.
Same kind of lattice format. The front doors don't have paper.
Okay.
So it's not truly a closed thing. Like somebody will have to go in and sweep when leaves fall or petals fall or the like. And it's more prone to weather.
Okay.
But the windows are solid.
The windows are solid. It's just the door.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we've been given permission. I'm still nervous to open the door. Someone else do it.
So is Ira and Koi. Koi is not really paying much attention. She's looking more at the flowers and floral stuff around here. She's paying more attention to that stuff.
And there are a lot of different varieties of flowers too, so she can keep herself very busy here if she wants.
Well, at least she's occupied. Okay, I'll open the door.
Door slides back very smoothly, and inside is clean. The ground is mostly stone. There are mats laid out here and there as places to potentially rest on, I guess. Probably sitting. There are some short tables in the back. And there's writing and there's little bowls with sand in them where someone has burned incense in the past. The sticks are still here, but the incense has been burned away. There's writing on strips of paper here, and there's a couple of places where there's pictures, including a picture of a man who's got a very high hairline, but he looks like he's wearing some kind of formal robes, not unlike the robes you've seen from a lot of the people around in the family. It looks very personal, very private, and the windows let in the morning light here, and sort of give a view of outside. So even though it is a mostly closed room, it feels very open because of all the windows on the sides and in the front. There's no person here. There's not a sign of somebody having slept here, but it's clean. And with those open doors, you'd assume there would be at least some leaves or something else. So somebody's been in here in the last few days. Are you looking for anything in particular?
Something to ask the servants about later, should that come up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking for anything like specific.
Mm-hmm.
Just anything that seems to stand out.
Okay.
I guess.
Well, I mean, the light coming in is it sort of plays across all the woodwork. You can see that in times past, this probably had a lot of red tones to the wood and the like. The writing is very stylized. You can see where the brush strokes stop and end. You can't tell what kind of incense was used here, but the space feels very still. There's motion outside one of the windows as you see the trees sort of blowing in the wind. and there is, you look up at the rafters, the roof itself sort of slants up, and there's just there's like carving in the wood of not just writing, but it looks like little faces almost.
Okay. Do I recognize any of the handwriting or brush strokes as being Kyoko's?
The brush strokes seem similar to the writing that you saw in the journal,
Okay.
but it's not. It seems very formal, like there's more involved in the writing.
Okay.
And it's of that language that you're not familiar with. Tira, you're looking around and you do notice on the right side, you notice somebody moving through the yard a little bit. Someone you don't recognize. Out one of the windows, you can see them. Not a woman.
I'm going to try to meet him.
Okay.
Ask him questions.
So you go back up to the front, you step out, and you don't see anybody out there.
Okay, scratch my head like, what the hell?
Yeah.
All right then.
Well, apparently there might be a ghost here after all, or I just missed him.
Yep. No, you're looking off in the section of the yard where you just saw somebody sort of stooping over one of the bushes, and there's nobody there.
So I saw a good little glance, took a hard look, and was gone.
Yeah, you glanced out, you saw the person, you came out front to talk to them, and there's nobody there.
Now I'm going to step back in and look through the window again.
So you look out the window, and you look out, and the yard is there, and you see, man sort of stooped over, looking over the bush and clipping at it, and you see a young girl sort of, not far from him, sort of creeping up on the man. And then she shouts something, and you don't really hear it, but she shouts something, and he turns around and he sort of stumbles over and drops the clippers that he's got, and then he laughs, and you see them sort of talking to each other.
Okay, step out the door and go over there.
Okay. So you step out, you go over there, and there's no one there.
Does Ira see this?
I don't know. Is she looking out the window? Is she looking out the front? Where is she looking?
Because when I'm looking through the window, I've seen this, but when I go around and out the door, I was like, there's nothing.
There's nothing there.
What the hell? Something with this window.
If she sees it, a look kind of comes over her that this is a scene that she kind of familiarizes herself with. She remembers good memories of these types of things with her father.
Is she looking out the window that Tira was looking out?
She's looking. I would say she's just glancing around.
Okay. So, you don't see what Tira saw. You're looking out, one of the other windows, and you can see something. And you realize for a second when you're looking out one of the front windows there that you're looking out, and it's just sort of like an open plateau, and there's like some work being done, and you see a number of people standing around talking while they're standing near sort of the frames of a house.
Okay. So, sort of thing she remembers seeing on the streets of Coleraine.
It's the frames of a house very similar to the one that that she slept in last night, but it's not the house. It's just like the frames of it.
So I see this image when I'm looking through the window, but when I step away from it and try to look elsewhere, try to green or look out the doorway, nothing there.
Right.
But I look back, I come back and look back out in the window. It's like it's still going on.
Yep.
Or just repeating itself.
You can still see that they're talking, and the little girl is trying to sort of help the man up, and the man pulls her down, and they're laughing, and he's sort of tickling her, and then he gets up and he's picking up his clippers, and she's talking with him excitedly. And you can't hear it. And Ira, looking out that window, can see people picking up materials and trying to sort of set the different panels in place for a house.
But she sees something else different than I?
She's looking out a different window.
All right. At this point, I'm sure Felix notices that
Tira going back and forth, looking outside,
going
back inside.
in and out, back and forth. I'm like,
I would say Ira notices it too, probably.
Yeah, Kia's looking through another window, and she's looking out, and she's like in awe because the window that she's looking out looks out on just wild, untamed wilderness, all the trees and the like, and there's she's looking at a deer sort of in the dappled light there, grazing,
A surf coon.
and it's just eating.
so I'm gonna take the time to look through the same window as Tira.
And you see a man clipping, and there's a little girl who's sort of playing and following a butterfly.
Yeah, and Ira will look out that window and probably get those
Sees the same
flashbacks. Get those flashbacks of her time with her mother, with her father.
And the people look like people in this community, but
I would say Felix and Tira could probably make a perception check towards Ira.
I'll take that and drop it on the floor.
Yep.
Tira will notice that there's a little bit of a tear in the corner of Ira's eye.
By the way, you can't see Kwai from any of the windows.
I want to see if Ira realizes that. Does she realize that?
Yeah.
Ira it shakes out of her little daydream there and goes, "Where's Kwai?" And she's gonna go look for Kwai.
Yep. She peeks out, and right there, Kwai is sitting there looking at some of the flowers and probably making flowers grow and the like.
Okay, that's weird.
By the way, when she looks out the front, she sees the house that's there. The full house that they just came out of, not being built, just there.
Okay, that's weird. These windows are weird. I was going to say that out loud. These windows are weird.
And as you
They're
look at each
Definitely
of the
not
windows,
normal windows.
each of the windows is looking at a completely different scene. There's windows that seem to see just the forest with nothing there. There's a window that sees the house, and there's sort of like a fish windsock up above the house being flown on like a little pole. There's the picture of the man trimming the trees. There's a house being built from one of the windows. There's pictures of one of the other windows shows some people walking about and pointing at things and looking around, but there's no development whatsoever. There's a different view from each of the windows.
Ira's a little creeped out.
Every window's like this.
Everyone in this shrine looks different. And at first glance, it doesn't look like anything if you're not looking, but once you're looking out the window, it gives you a different view.
It's a recording of a past. Somehow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they're all the past, aren't they? As I turned to the rest of the party.
Yes, they are all the past, says a voice in the room with you.
Yeah, I tried to
Ira
look directly where that voice came
jumps.
I startle fairly dramatically and do not land terribly gracefully.
So does Ira.
And somehow, even though you've been all over this room and looked and there was nothing there, there was
Nothing
a woman
and nobody.
who is standing there in some formal clothing, and she's a little shorter than Miyuki, and she's a little taller than Aiko, and she looks older but has a similar kind of hairstyle and a similar kind of build. And she stands in the middle of the room, and she's clasping her hands in front of her, and she looks at you and she says, "Yes, that's all these windows show. They only show the past."
Kyoko, is that you?
She nods. "Yes. You found me."
You were
No.
in here?
Not by choice. But yes. I've been here my whole life, it feels like.
Like here in this shrine here?
Yes and no. It is a place of remembrance where we remember our loved ones who are gone. Like my father, she says. And she points to the table where there's the picture of the man with the high brow.
Does that picture look familiar to the person to the side?
Yes.
Ooh. So that little girl was her.
But you didn't come here to talk about philosophy, right? What did they say?
We came here to figure out what's going on. If philosophy is part of that, then philosophy is part of that.
There was a prophecy, she said. There was a prophecy that This place could last for a century. A dream trapped in time. But it doesn't grow. Oizumi is not growing. And you can't thrive if you don't grow. She looks out the doors, but she doesn't move to them. What did she tell you? Did she tell you that I stole the stone, that I'm trying to hurt her?
In that kind of measure, but me
Only-
personally,
Only the first one.
How is she doing?
not so well.
I only met her once, but she's very tired, seems to be bedbound.
Has she told you she's dying?
Not with words.
So I put it in your hands, perhaps not literally yet. And she opens her hands, and there is within them a small white stone that seems to be glowing just a little bit. You can't tell what color it is. It's pink or purple or blue or something. It's not quite certain. But the choice is in your hands, she says, even as they're in mine. You see, if you take the stone back to her, she will live. But if you take it from me, all three of us will die.
I'm sorry, what?
She holds it up. If you give her this stone, she will live. But if you take it from me, all three of us, my mother, my daughter, and myself, will die.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
She shrugs. I can't help prophecy. It runs in our family. All I can tell you is that the decision is yours, and you must make it. Especially if Oizumi is to find its future.
In order to Izumi to progress, is that she has to die naturally.
She looks at the windows. She looks outside. You can't live in a dream. The future is scary.
My brain is thinking so many things right now.
This is the end game, guys. This is it. This is what you got.
Well,
So if we let the grandmother die naturally, then there can be a real future for this place.
like I said earlier, reality is set in stone. Ideals comes and goes.
Or if we take the stone,
Away from this place, all three of them will die.
and then the entire, like, everything going on here.
What did the grandmother say?
She believes that without her, that Oizumi would fade into nothing.
And the mother says if you give the stone, if you give her the stone, she'll live. But if you take it from the mother, all three of them will die.
All right.
I just let the mother keep it.
I'm gonna go with the third option.
Yes, there are third options. There are fourth and fifth options too.
For
Gonna kill them all.
For the mother to keep the stone.
No. So here's where my brain the conclusion my brain has come to.
Thanks for sticking it on, by the way, a little later than normal. I appreciate it. Because we're really close to the end here.
Yeah. So I would like to bring the grandmother into the shrine. To bring the grandmother to the stone. That's still with Kyoko.
Would that even be an option?
I will carry her if I have to. But this is the conclusion that my brain came to. Is like, if you give the grandmother the stone, but if you take the stone away, it's like, in order to get it from Kyoko to Eiko, I'd have to take it from Kyoko. So obviously I have to get the stone to the grandmother some other way than taking it.
But then she doesn't, the grandmother doesn't die naturally.
All right.
That
sounds like a decision of sorts.
That's the idea I came to is if we give it back to Eiko in any way, she won't die naturally. But if Kyoko keeps it, then Eiko will die naturally.
Yes, if she keeps it, she'll die naturally.
You know what?
I mean,
nature take its toll. I'm not gonna figure defy nature, because nature can defy you.
I guess if we come back to the beginning of where we started, we were asked to come here to find the mother that went missing.
Yeah, we were asked to find Kyoko.
And we found the mother that went missing. And so...
She didn't go very far, did she?
No.
Technically, we're done.
Yeah.
Technically, you are.
Like...
You got a decision to make.
Yeah.
We found the mother.
Ira's personal opinion is have Kyoko keep the stone. You can't fight against nature.
That's my thought as well.
Felix, if you want to,
you
can get Eiko. She might not be easy to bring out here, but it's a possibility.
I will actually swing you upside the head with a can.
I am going to take it one step at a time. I am first going to see about bringing the information back to Grandmother Eiko.
Okay. It's
Whether
not a very...
the rest of the party comes with me or not is up to them.
You make your way back to the house and you open the door. And Miyuki's door is closed, Eiko's door is closed. You need to cross and go talk to Eiko?
Yes, but I'll start with knocking.
You knock. And there's a voice inside. Have you brought it?
I haven't brought it, but I did find it. And your daughter.
There's a cough. Why did you not bring it to me? You gonna open, or you just talk through the door?
I'm gonna open the door, and in the entryway, I am going to say, because things are complicated and I don't understand everything, and I have a plan.
Where is my daughter?
She is inside the shrine.
She just stares at you like that's the strangest thing you've told her.
We're gonna start with, why were you in the shrine? Yeah.
And she, what? She's throwing a fit. She refuses to come to see her mother, to bring you the stone.
I will follow in shortly after here.
She had a vision of the future and asked us to make a decision. And this is the decision I'm making. Will you come with me?
She looks impotent, and she says, I don't know if I can get up.
Yoink.
I will help you, but I don't want to take you against your will.
I don't understand this, she says. But she doesn't shake her head at you. If you feel this is what you must do. If she said she had a vision, then you must do what you must do. And then you hear a noise behind you. And you see the door slide open from Miyuki's room. And Miyuki looks out. Says, "What are you doing?"
I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing.
Iris says, "We have found your mother."
Where is she? She comes straight into the middle of the room.
She's in the shrine.
Why are you... She wants... You can see, like, she's like fidgeting like she wants to run to the shrine. But she's watching you at the door to your grandmother, to her grandmother's. Why are you here? Why didn't you bring her back?
Because
I don't have a good answer for that. Why didn't you bring her back?
It's okay. This is gold right here. Keep going.
I don't know, she just appeared out of nowhere and I feel like she's trapped in the shrine because of the vision that she saw, and that she needed to stay there until a decision had been made.
And Miyuki is just sort of almost frozen there watching you too. And Eiko is lying in the bed watching you. And it's you and it's Ira standing here. What are you going to do?
I am going to move to try and help the grandmother up.
Ira says,
you
why
realize-
don't we go and try to see if we can bring Kyoko in here?
And Miyuki comes to your side very quickly, and you figure out very quickly that Eiko does not have the strength to stand. If you're going to take her out of here, you will have to lift her.
Alright.
And Ira is telling you, why don't you see if you can bring Kyoko in? They're all choices. There are many ways to do this.
Yeah, multiple endings here.
Ira still leans to Kyoko
Do
keeping
nothing.
the stone.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna try.
And when you do, Miyuki tries to help you too. And the both of you working together, it's not easy, but you are able to lift her and support her.
Okay.
And is Ira going to get in the way of this, or is Ira going to allow it to happen?
It's tough because Ira doesn't want to.
Uh-huh.
Ira doesn't want to. Doesn't want
Decision's in
to.
your hands, too.
She doesn't want to come between Felix. She doesn't want to go against her comrades, her friends.
Yeah.
I know.
But she honestly believes that nature must run its course.
So is she going to get in the way or not?
She says to Felix, I think we need to let nature run its course.
They're holding Eiko, the two of them together.
And I think this is the right course of action.
It could be a fourth one at the end.
Could be. And the two of you step out, and Ira has a chance to stop that. Or does Ira let them pass?
She holds Felix. She says, "I don't think this is the right idea. I really don't agree with this." When my mother, when I thought I had lost my mother, and then she just suddenly appears out of nowhere, that threw me for a loop. But death is a natural part of the cycle, and we can't stand in the way of that. And I believe that was the mistake that my mother made. That was why that elemental spirit became corrupted.
You note, by the way, that neither Eiko nor Miyuki says anything. This is a loaded moment.
Yeah.
By the way, all the giggling is gone. Anybody who was hearing giggling, it's all gone.
At least they are taking this seriously.
Yep. The CUNY is silent. All right.
My
I don't know.
mother.
I feel like at the very least these three ladies should have a chance to say their goodbyes in their piece.
Ira says, "Well, I'll go along with that. I wish at the time when I thought I had lost my mother, and I wish I would have had a chance to say goodbye. And I wish I would have had a chance to say goodbye to my father."
So now there is a somber procession. Felix and Miyuki carrying Aiko across the stone path,
Ira will follow.
up the stairs to the shrine, and at the door of the shrine you see Kyoko waiting. And there is a moment as they stand virtually next to each other at the doorway, as Aiko, sort of with the help of her granddaughter, sits and the mother crouches, where you see all three of them sort of reach out to each other. And Seth, can you give me the picture, mother, grandmother, and daughter?
I had that loaded just as he said it because I had a feeling.
Okay.
And they're together, and you see Aiko reach out and lightly brush the stone with her finger. And then there is a bright flash of light. And you see all three of them in the light. And then there's just one of them. And it looks a little like Miyuki, and a little like Kyoko, and a little like Aiko. And behind them, you see a red ikune tail that stretches up, and then a second. And she stands there for a moment in the opening to the shrine. And she looks at all of you. And she says, "You made your decision. And you see that there isn't three people. There is a woman who looks a little like each of them, with two tails. And she bears in her hand a stone that glows with strange magic. And there's the picture for that stone.
Felix counts to one, like
Hoshi
3
no Tama.
times. It's like, wait, there were 3 of you, and now there's 2 less than 3 of you.
And that's the stone that she bears in her hands. And she reaches out and she hands the stone to you, Felix. And she lets it go. And she says, "This is my Hoshi no Tama. It is my starstone. And now it is yours. I am Inari. And I have to depart. Because this was my dream. But a dream does not live. It merely remembers. And if Oizumi is to become something, then it must have the chance to live and grow. And if they choose to keep the old ways, then that will give me joy. And if they choose to embrace new ways, then they will grow, and that will give me joy too. But I see now that my wish was selfish. It was just for me. And I need to let that go. And she steps away. And you get the feeling like in moments there won't be anything that you'll have the opportunity to say to her. So if you've got anything you want to say, this is your moment.
Your new wish is a good wish too.
And then she visibly changes again, and you see not the face of a human, but a face much more like what Ikune that was human-shaped would look like. And she looks at you and she says, I'm going to travel. I'm going to see new things. I've been here for a century, and there is much more to this world. But I think some of my people may stay. And Oizumi has a chance to choose its future. That stone will give you a gift of 3 parts. The first part is it will help you to see through lies. The person who bears it will have the ability to see when an individual is lying a little better. It is not magic, simply a function of insight. The second thing that it will do is important for a person who uses magic. If you can use Mystia, then a spellcaster who can cast magic with concentration may use the orb instead to refresh themselves briefly once a day, to regain some of the Mystia that's been lost in magic. At a price, but a fair one. The third gift is a special one, and it is a gift that you have perhaps already seen. This stone can be a window to the past. Once in a day, you may look through a window. If you have a certain event in mind, you may be able to see it. If you do not, then what you see will be whatever that window is seen that is most important. And you will see that for 10 minutes. This ability is special, and you've seen it here in this shrine. Each of these things is a part of my thank you for helping us make the decision that we needed to make. And then she steps away. And she moves like impossibly quickly into the woods. And then you hear briefly the giggle. and then she's gone. And the shrine is left empty, still with all the things you've seen, but nothing else.
And I think, Felix, you said that there was a decision that you had to make.
Yeah. Looking through each of those windows, seeing the beginning of this town and the small village being built and planned. They're the important. And so however this village continues to grow, it's important to Felix. And so he chooses to stay behind. Partly for the village, but partly for himself. It'll be good to return to more mundane, more sane things. And so, he'll hand the Mythos tomes over to Tira. And say, I think I'm gonna stay here for a while.
Okay.
Ira and Koi come up and give Felix a hug. It was really nice knowing you, and thank you for everything.
By the way,
Anytime.
that write-up is the write-up for the artifact itself. I wanted to make something that was a reasonable gift, but not overly powered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just copied it into an item, onto a new item, and I just put it onto Tira's inventory, and I guess I'll take the Mythos tomes and move them over to Tira as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to go crazy.
Yeah, well, Oizumi's going to need some people that know some of the things that are happening in the regular world.
And they also lost the leading family of their village.
Mm-hmm.
So
you may have guessed by now that the father was the father for, theoretically, both of the younger ones, but it's in fact the grandmother's father as well. This was her story trapped in time, played out three ways.
Okay.
Kind of complicated, but
Very complicated.
I've heard worse.
So yeah, they just lost, and it won't make sense except that strangely people are going to start being able to have kids again. And you'll find as you talk to the people in the village that there's a lot of people here that have knowledge over a surprising span of years. And some of
100
them,
years indeed.
yeah, some of them, by the way, are not, as they may appear at first glance, human. But what they are is not as developed as what Inari was.
Okay.
So this is a good place for Alopeak as an origin. Yeah.
Alopeke. So, yeah, definitely do that write-up, and do that article. And as we leave Felix behind, say our goodbyes to Felix.
When the boat comes out, by the way. Yeah, when the boat comes out, the woman who called you guys here is actually able to leave. It turns out that she was in exile, but your decision also helped her be able to return home, and which she's glad to do. She couldn't return otherwise because she went to the mainland, but things have changed apparently. She was told by
Nice.
Inari she can go home.
Nice. So, as the boat comes,
You know where to find me if you really, really need me.
Iris says, do keep in touch, and we will come and get you if we need you.
Yeah, I guess there's going to need to be some investigation in this area again.
And Koi says, I want to check out the eastern coast of this islet if we can, please.
So, without
I
much
guess.
persuasion, they're able to divert the catamaran. It makes quick work of the distance.
And as we do that, we discover a few pieces of a ship that had washed ashore on the eastern coast. And when Koi gets out of the catamaran and touches one of those pieces, she screams in pain as these images flood her mind. Ira goes and consoles her, and then Koi jumps up in a realization. It was him! Ira asks, who? It was who? What are you on about? The bad man, Koi says. The bad man, he was there. It was no shadow. It was the bad man.
Zolgoth?
Ira says, you're saying the ship you were on with your family was actually attacked by Zolgoth? And Koi nods. Oh my gods. That's why he's after her. That's where all this started. She's the one that got away. And at that last day with the tribunal before she was sent to Almana with Crystal, that must have been where he realized who she was. And as she says this, up the beach, Koi spots Zolgoth standing there, both hands perched atop his cane before him, staring back at her. And she screams, he's here! But when you go and look where he was, or where Koi says he was, he's gone. He was here.
Was is the word.
Iris says he does have that trick of his.
Yeah, pour it in, pour it out. Make sure you spit before he disappears.
So, seems we have found a crucial piece of Kauai's past here. These fragments here of a ship on this beach, they were from the ship that she was once on, where her family lost their lives. And it was in fact due to an attack by Zolgoth.
It's a small world.
Yeah, but do we know the reason why he attacked the ship?
That is a mystery we will have to solve another day. And that is where we're going to end today's session. We want to give Felix a proper farewell. Felix, it was great having you aboard, but Cyber is going to be sticking around. He's just going to be bringing in a new character.
I need to figure that one out.
Yeah, I might suggest waiting until the 27th. We will have Dark Archives by then, and I will have another book in my hands by then too, so you'll have a lot more options. including not just 2 new classes, but lots of new spells, lots of new feats, lots of new items, lots of new stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. And until then, our next Saturday session will be on the 30th. And we will be doing... Let's see, what the next episode is titled A Mother's Love.
Aww.
Better than a father's suffering.
So, we will see you all next time, where we will be introducing Cyber's next character. Until then, see you later.
Wait a minute, you want me to roll a whole new character in 3 days?
Well, you've done it before.